So Scarlet's like, it's not real, you idiot. She doesn't say that. So then George asks Scarlet, what is happening to us? Like, why would he be here?
Mm-hmm.
And he says that's similar with the piano, but we're just like, okay, that's weird. Like, keep moving forward. Now he's like, what the hell is going on? Like, somebody is acknowledging it, and he's asking Scarlet, like, he's like, no, I want an answer before we move forward. So then they hear a man screaming in the distance, and they walk further and see a car in flames.
Ooh.
A boy is sitting in it calmly, just sitting like this. So you're like, oh my God, this is really creepy. Papillon screams, it wasn't my fault. So this is clearly something that is now we're dealing. Like, we go through each character and like how they're, I feel like the normal people that watch this don't analyze it like we do, but this is what we do. So each character is getting like their own, I guess, trauma dealt with.
Mm-hmm.
So clearly it's something in Papillon's past, and then all of a sudden he gets dragged into it by, we don't know, just like he just otherworldly forces dragging him into the car.
And again, like he keeps and he's still denying whatever it is. And clearly, if he maybe
because he said it wasn't my fault.
Maybe if he had just said like, "Oh God, I'm so sorry," like I didn't mean to, or whatever, maybe it wouldn't have sucked them in. But instead, he goes, "It wasn't my fault," and we could kind of tell.
Wrong answer.
Yeah,
literally.
Yeah,
it's like pulling you in.
And we could kind of tell from the guy that he left behind, and perhaps that ghost that was sitting on the rock. La Trappe and the guy that was sitting on the rock, we can kind of assume that he's lost people before, and this is like another person that, and then he probably is in denial of the other people as well.
And his personality kind of sucks because he's like, when he's at the club, he's like, "What?
Yeah.
I'm the man."
Yeah.
Oh, there's treasure? Yeah, I'll go.
Yeah.
Oh, there's material items and money? Yeah, I'll go.
Yeah.
So we realize that he kind of sucks.
He's Mr. Krabs.
Yeah, it's literally like hell is bringing you in. So if you think about it, like say it's like the devil pulling him in, it's like, it wasn't my fault. Yeah, wrong answer.
Yeah.
Ooh, I love it. We got another one, boys.
Yeah.
And it just swallows him up.
Yeah, because the devil might like we can always see in horror and in evil, evil wants you to admit to like you like being a shitty person or whatever the case might be. It never actually does it itself.
Well, look at the witch.
Yeah.
The goat doesn't do anything until he kills the dad, but the dad has already done so much damage already.
Yeah.
But it's just like these outside forces. They're like when we go back to that Twilight Zone episode, it's like the monsters are doing Maple Street. They don't do anything.
Yeah.
They just flicker with the lights a bit,
there.
and they're like, yeah, we really don't have to just like blow shit up. They'll do it to themselves.
Yeah.
So you're right. That's a really good point.
It's in the nature. Like it's crazy. But yeah, they evil just sits back and waits for you to come to it.
Well, you can kind of relate that to Adam and Eve. Here's an apple.
Yeah. You guys
It's like-
hungry? Here's an apple.
Yeah, sure, I'll eat. Wait a minute, didn't God just tell you not to do that?
Yeah.
But you forgot about it already?
And it's
It's just like temptation and
it's just a tempt. Like again, it's never like the devil is never like comes up to you and blatantly says you have to do this.
Yeah.
He just comes up to you and goes, "I'm gonna leave this right here. If you want this apple, take it. If you don't, I don't care. Someone else will eventually, though.
Yeah. There's plenty of
That'll
you.
be another soul that I'll have."
God's making more of you, so I'll get you. But
And if you really think about it, it is pretty easy to be like, yeah, I was told not to, but the temptation.
that's what adolescents do.
Yeah.
We'll do everything that's the opposite. Well, there's a quote in the movie The Usual Suspects with Kevin Spacey. The greatest lie the devil ever told was convincing the world that he didn't exist, which is a really good line. I don't know if that really relates, but it's a cool line. So Papillon gets swallowed up, and you're like, damn, that's crazy. And there's 3 of them left. 3 down, 3 to go. And then, so I wrote down this is another movie of dealing with traumas. Smile, Hereditary, a bit of The Lighthouse with Ephraim when he's like, I'm not dealing with my past. And the person that I might have killed when I was a timberman in Canada.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. If you're in denial of it, it'll just keep gnawing at you.
Yeah.
It'll never go away.
You got to embrace it.
Yep.
You got to deal with it as no matter how much it hurts.
Just drop your ego.
Because you might get swallowed up by a car.
Yeah. Or La Trappe will come and
just bash you to bits.
just give you a choke slam.
Kane! So then we see a hooded figure in the distance, and Scarlet starts freaking out, which is kind of not like her. You can kind of see like her emotions are getting to her, and she's trying to move forward. but like I said, it makes sense in this craziness. So we see like that weird hooded figure. George calms her down, and then they have like a quick romantic moment, like we said before. He says, "quote The week in Turkey was the greatest week in my life." End quote. Even though in the beginning he was like, "Yeah, don't go with this one. I ended up in a Turkish prison." Shut up, you liked it.
She goes, "Me too."
So I think that's just it.
We gotta go.
We gotta go.
We're in hell. I forgot about that.
It's like a Disney thing. Just nope, we gotta go. But I feel like that in the most when traumatic experiences happen, yeah, that's when people usually like turn to God too. So I feel like in a really emotional moment, like people might admit things more. That's why in the beginning he's like, "Yeah, I ended up in a Turkish prison." Yeah, well, you're gonna admit that you love her now,
Yeah,
and that was the greatest week in your life because you're deep in the catacombs now.
And it's interesting too. Like we see like the character who's kept it together the most of the movie kind of break, but like that's
Right.
where like like they're on the brink of like pushing through. Of pushing through where
Yeah.
where they're able to like come out better people.
Right.
And you know, the when you're almost there, that's when it's the toughest because it's just like it's almost like if you're like running for a while, like you're almost at the finish line, but you're about to die. Like
Yeah.
you're like
Just
but just a
come
couple
on,
more
hang on.
minutes, and you're just like, ah,
You're
okay,
good to
we got it."
But like, yeah, it's just but we could see how strong she is
Mhm.
too. It's like, God gives his toughest battles to his strongest people.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's so close, and I feel like that's any character in any work of literature or movie or something like that. No matter how strong or awesome they are, they will like break, or there's a moment in them that will just like dwindle just a bit.
Yeah.
But they just they have to like turn it off and just keep moving forward. So
Not
they
to skip ahead, but this
Yeah,
might be
go
the
ahead.
first movie where something good kind of happens. Like not everyone
Yeah,
is
shit. Yeah,
is
you're right.
completely dead. I mean, a lot of people have died, but we would like to think that if what we're saying is true, they come out the other side better people and they've learned from their experience.
Yeah, we can. Well, yeah, we'll get into that. That is a good point. So then they walk and they see a chair facing away with that hooded figure in it, and you're like, all right, this is getting really creepy. And the figure is like wheezing and moaning.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
And he got up and walked towards them,
He looks
and
like Emperor Palpatine.
his face is white and deformed. Yeah, like Emperor Palpatine. And then all of a sudden, these stone-looking figures attack them, and then like George gets bitten. Remember that? It was like, ah! And it was similar to the beginning of the movie when like the camera's away, but you see something on the side, like when the policeman tackled Papillon.
Mm-hmm.
And so then all of a sudden, just rah! And like these, it's like they're made of stone. Yeah.
Creatures. Yeah.
So George gets bitten, and then like the others drag him away. The other two friends. So then the camera becomes distorted and shaky during that moment, which is cool because it's like more real.
Yep.
And the George is bleeding like crazy.
Thing had crazy teeth.
So we're like, all right, well, just put the stone on him, but it won't work
That
because
won't
what you were
work.
saying before.
Yeah.
It only works in the above part, not in hell.
Mhm.
So she keeps reciting the line, and then she realizes she's got to go back,
She's gotta
which
go
is
back.
crazy because the other guy's like, "Are you out of your mind? What do you mean?" She's like, "No, stay with him. Make sure he doesn't bleed out. I'm gonna go back." Which is just like a crazy scenario to think about. But it's the only way that she can, they can get out is if she goes backwards. And she like, yeah. So that's when she realizes like, so talk about this scene that she has to go back.
Yeah,
Why does she have to go back?
Because I feel like she was busy trying to figure out like what all this meant and stuff. So like she didn't really understand that all these were like trials for her, and then so then she had to go back and be like, oh, like wait, like I have to see everything for what it is, accept it, and then that's what my world will become. Like so she was kind of ignoring everything because she was just going after a stone, whereas if she had looked around her and taken a second to be like, wait, there's all these signs, like the phone ringing is her
Mhm.
dad, she sees him hanging, eventually, I think at this scene, right?
Yeah,
As she
pretty
sees
sure.
him hanging, and she finally is able to go and give him a hug, and she says, like, I'm so sorry I didn't answer.
Right.
And then he, like, I guess he disappears or whatever, and then, and she's able to see, like, everything for what it is, accept it, come to terms with it, and then she's able to come back, and then the stone works because she has accepted I guess herself, her life, her traumas, and everything
Yeah.
in between, and she's able to help her friend at this point.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. The analysis of it is she has to go back, and which is crazy because you're like, why would you ever want to do anything but move forward? Yeah,
Yeah.
she's so like obsessed with just like ignoring, or not really ignoring things, but just like moving forward no matter how like crazy it is.
Yeah.
That now at this moment, instead of moving forward, you got to move back to move forward,
So
which is like what we were saying is like you got to look back on some moments in your life to learn from it and not
Learn
not
from
dwell on it.
Acknowledge it, but don't dwell on it. And then when you learn about it, that's when you can let go of it.
Yep.
You're good. You're good to go.
So she tells Zed, which is the third guy that they're with, to
Not
take
the
care of
DJ.
him. Yeah, not the DJ. To take care of him while she goes back. And she fucking sprints. Like, she goes so fast, which I feel like any of us would do. Be like, if we realize we have to go back, run as fast as you can. So she takes the camera with her, which is interesting. Because it's like, does she, like, say, all right, I got to make sure for the documentary, like, I got to take the camera. But we realized if she didn't take the camera, we would see nothing as an audience.
Unless she had like the head camera on because she needed a light or something. I don't fucking know.
Could be.
Or did
Yeah,
she take the camcorder? Who knows? Whatever.
maybe.
Part of the movie.
Yeah. So it's a
That's
movie.
one you got to let go.
Right. So she punches the stone figure on the way, which I thought was pretty funny. And she's like sprinting back. No, I don't got time. Boom.
Yep.
So she hits him. And she like legit has to go through this obstacle course. It's like whoever's the outside force, like, all right, let's make this hard for
Yeah,
her,
yeah,
as
yeah.
hard as possible.
Wipe out. Wipe out Hell Edition.
Yeah.
Instead of bouncy balls, there's these stone creatures that'll eat you.
But she just punches him in the face. So I wonder if there's like an outside force, whoever it is, being like, all right, let's see if she can get through it.
Yeah.
If
Oh,
she does it.
yeah.
Because it's like kind of like free will at this point. It's like, God made people and he's just like, all right, see what you can do.
Yeah.
Let's see if you can, go towards love or not,
Yeah.
And the three characters didn't, and then the other three characters did. So she punches the stone person. She's like hyping herself. She's like hyping herself up along the way, which I thought was pretty
Which
cool.
is cool because now she's found like love for herself again. Which usually comes once you deal with something traumatic or get over your whatever it could be. Could
She's
even
like, I
just
can
be
do
something
this.
as small as insecurities. Like getting
Right.
over something. You can, you can hype yourself up. You don't need outside things to tell you that you're awesome. You can tell yourself now.
And that's like the best way of getting through things.
Mm-hmm.
She gets pulled under the water, the bloody water, by something, and now she's like all bloody. And she's like doesn't care. But this is when she sees her dad hanging, and then like she stops for a moment, which is what she's supposed to do. It seems as though like the forces are trying not to have her achieve her goal, which I wrote, which is a possibility.
I think so. Yeah.
But she gets back to the wall where she found the stone. She looks herself in the mirror, which is all bloody. And then she like repeats to herself, "Where's the stone? Where's the stone?" Like she can't find it. And this is an interesting part because that's like the only mirror that's down there. So she like looks at herself. She's like, "Okay, this is where I am in my life."
Yeah, that's the whole main. That's the main point of the movie right there.
Yeah.
Self-reflection right there, literally and metaphorically.
It's like, which way am I gonna go?
Yeah.
Like, am I gonna embrace this?
Mhm.
So, yeah. So she goes to her dad's hanging body and she apologizes for not picking up the phone the night that he killed himself. Which if you're watching it for the first time, you're like, oh damn, that's deep.
Mhm.
But you're like, okay, she realizes that's what she has to do, and it's a really, sincere, emotional moment. And then, do you think she knew she had to do that to move forward? Is what I wrote, which is probably, as we know, yeah.
I mean, I think eventually she found out when she goes looking, where's the stone, and then wipes it off because she follows the riddle or whatever, and she goes, oh, like,
Oh, I gotta go
Oh.
hug him.
it's all about self-reflection. Like down
Right.
here, I don't need a stone to do all these things or whatever. It's like I have to find the power within me to get over my stuff, and then the power will come to me.
I feel like I'm liking this movie more. the
I know,
more that
now
we
that
talk
we're
about it, I'm like,
explaining it,
this is
I'm
actually pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it was rushed, but you have to analyze and take every bit and every moment, and reflect on it and analyze it to realize like how good of a movie this is.
And it's accurate to the human experience, just like
100%.
just like everyday life. It's a good lesson. You can't go wrong with that.
But it's interesting how it's like this movie is you got to go down there to improve your life up here,
yeah,
which is
that's
interesting.
dope. I like that.
It's kind of like going inside your inner self to figure out, how to be better on the other side.
That's-
Because you can't do it on the surface
Yeah.
as above, so below. So you got to do it down there before you go up, which is like you were saying. All right, we're going to put you in purgatory for a bit. We're going to put you through hell, but not really hell.
Yeah.
Because that's for the people that are bad. Then you can come back up
Yeah.
and we can live in the 5 people you meet in heaven.
Yeah.
We're gonna
yeah.
sort of similar to
Yeah.
you'll meet the people that
Like
changed
how
your life.
they really felt, how you affected them.
Mhm.
Was it for the bad or was it for the good? And then like now you can come to terms with who you are and things.
I wonder if her dad was in with her spiritually in that moment.
Yeah.
Because it's like he did something that was like he did something which is terrible, but yeah, maybe I don't know if he was with her. That'd be cool to think about him looking, over her like, you got this kid.
Mm-hmm.
Think you can do that. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I wrote that it's similar to another movie, Smile, that we reviewed, like where she watched her mom die, but then she has to go back to the house
Yep.
but that movie wasn't positive.
Yeah.
That didn't end positive.
I
don't think
remember
so.
How it ended?
Doesn't it blow up?
Oh yeah, she like fights the thing off in the house, but then
It like eats her.
then it devours her again or something.
I don't think that movie was positive.
Because I think all of a sudden she does something at the end where it's like, oh, you went back, you kind of reverted back to your old self.
Right. Yeah, so this is a different character
And then
in
all of a
that.
sudden it was like, oh, you fought it off, and then it was like, yay, and then it was like, wait, she just did the same thing she's been doing. And then,
So it's basically like you could look at it in two ways. You can either almost deal with it and then just like Papillon, where he's like, as he's getting pulled through, it's like, it wasn't my fault. Nope, that's not what you're supposed to do.
Yeah,
or you could be Scarlet, where she actually acknowledges it and then she gets to be free on the other side.
yeah.
It's so cool to think about. It's so interesting. Were you going to say something? You're good.
No, I'm good.
So she goes back after,
This might
going
be the
through
longest one of all of them, of all our
What?
videos.
You think so?
We started at like 3 something. It's 4:50.
Well, we were joking.
Well, what
around
was
a lot,
which?
which is good.
What was
though.
the which?
2 hours.
Okay. Yeah.
Fuck it. I don't know. But because we're realizing how much is in this movie,
Yeah.
which is crazy. I'd love to talk to the director and be like, you sly bastard.
This was pretty good.
Because I feel like a majority of people that saw that movie was like, oh, it's pretty good. Yeah. Oh, she had to go back and do that.
Yeah.
Like, you want to get pizza?
Yeah.
There's no way they're
Yeah.
actually analyzing it like that. Maybe.
Some people maybe, but
But I told you, when Bailey and I saw The Lighthouse, we were talking about it for like 3 hours at a
Yeah.
bar.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
So she goes back to George. She kisses him. So, like, he's still dying, but you can see the fact that, or the theme of love, like, rules all.
Yeah.
Like, no matter how hard and how insane, how decrepit the situation might be, love wins in the end. So it's like a nice little, like a Snow White kiss.
yeah.
So love saves him literally, which is all right. So I'm going to go back to Star Wars. When Padme dies, she dies of childbirth. She dies of childbirth. She dies of a broken heart,
Yep.
which is, she's dying of something that doctors would be like, no, she didn't die because of that.
Yeah,
She died because of
they even say it. It's unexplainable or something.
right. Exactly. It's like a mystery diagnosis.
Yeah.
It's a thing that can't be explained. This is the opposite here, but it's similar where, like, the guy's bleeding to death. She kisses him and he lives. So it's just something that can't be explained,
Yeah.
but is godlike. So she kisses him. Love saves him. Then they start to move forward. They're like, all right, Scarlet goes back. She deals with her shit. And so then they all move forward and realize that they have to jump down to get out, which is bizarre, but that's the way that they got to do it. They're like, no time to think about why this is going on.
Just do it.
Just do it. So Scarlet asks George why he keeps seeing his brother. He's like, why do I keep seeing him? And Scarlet's like, you got to forgive yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You tried everything you did. Zed talks about how he has a kid that he's never seen. So Scarlet's like, hey, I just went all the way there. I realize what you got to do. You got to forgive yourself. You got to forgive yourself. It wasn't your fault, which Papillon says, but it was his fault.
It was his fault.
So
the other
there's-
people, it was definitely their fault. We can assume.
Exactly. So they all jump
Except
down.
for Benji. I don't know.
We don't know what Benji, what happened with him.
Maybe he hit an old woman.
He didn't see his grandma enough.
He didn't see grandma enough. Or something.
Maybe, who knows? So they all jump down another hole, and it's like a swirling time machine.
Yeah.
And then they see a manhole on the ground. They remove it, And then like the weirdest thing ever is that they go down and end up, which is pretty much the whole. I mean, it's the title of the movie. It's the whole theme of it.
Yeah.
As above, so below. You know, they're down, they go up, and you know when you see a sewer, you know, cap like a manhole, you go down and you go down.
Yeah.
This one, they're already down, but they go down and they
more
go
down,
up.
and then they're up.
Yeah. So the whole thing of this movie is that the further to get out is you have to go all the way down to get back up, which is bizarre. But that's what it is. So they end up on the street, and so as they go down, they go up, and then they're finally out, and they all hug, and the camera angle is weird. It's like on the ground. They all hug.
Zed puts his hands on his head.
What the fuck was that? Basically, he doesn't say that.
Starts walking away.
All right, see you guys. It's funny because it's like that's pretty real is how you would react. Like in Hereditary, I feel like people that see the movie, they're like, this ain't like Johanna said to me recently, my sister who hates Hereditary and thinks it's funny, is like, yeah, he doesn't react that way. It's like, if you think about it, that's how you would react. Because you're like, my life is ruined.
And most people are used to the movie reaction of, oh my god,
Exactly.
We got to be as dramatic as possible because that's cinema. It's dramatic. But
Right, we're making a movie here.
But like, meanwhile, the real reaction is all dependent on the person themselves. First off, like some people could react that way, but a lot of people could
Everybody's
just
different.
be so in shock that it's just, what do you say? Like, how do you even say that?
You
Like,
don't, yeah.
You just go, what was that?
Yeah, that's what's why I love the reaction. He's just like, I'm gonna get out of here and I'm gonna deal with this on my own. I'm gonna sit down.
I need a therapist.
I need a lot of therapists. I need to see my daughter who I abandoned or whatever it was. Maybe she died. So then those two hug, and then the next scene is so after that, which is great because they're like, what the fuck was that? We're not even gonna talk about it. You know, let's go grab pancakes or something and we'll talk about it. Crepes. And then the next scene is back to the initial interview that we saw in the beginning. And so Scarlett says her ultimate goal is that she wants the truth. So in the beginning, you're like, this girl just wants to find a stone that leads to eternal life. But does she really want the gold? No. Does she want the eternal life? No. She wants, what it was. Her dad tried to find it and couldn't. So she wants to do that. But then the part that they didn't put in the beginning, they put at the end, which I think was good, is that she says she wants to find the truth, which is she did.
She did find the truth.
Yeah, which is great.
And ultimately, the prize, which everyone thought it would be, the treasure is ultimately living a more fulfilled, happy life and coming to terms with everything, as opposed to coming back and being like, oh my God, we just found billions of dollars in gold, and a Philosopher's Stone. The whole point of the Philosopher's Stone is honestly for you to find the truth within
That's
yourself.
your eternal life.
That's your eternal life. That leads to happiness. That leads to heaven, and you're good to go.
People think that eternal life is, I'm going to be living on earth forever, but it's not. You're living in heaven eternally. In peace. And it's funny too because like now that as we're going through this movie, we're like, wow, it's actually pretty good. In the beginning, we're like, what the hell does this mean? What is this? So I guess the director maybe or the maker of this movie wanted us to do this what we're doing exactly. So throughout the movie, we get the sense of that she's a bit selfish, but now we realize that she really just wanted the truth, which is great. And the truth is. Telling the truth is the greatest adventure you can do.
Yep.
In a more like
telling the truth to yourself and the people around you.
Yeah,
that's what it really.
Then
is.
you'll live a pretty good life.
Yeah.
So you said, however you see the world is how it is. Remember we were talking about that. It's just like, if you want to, the news is basically like it shows you everything, and you're like, why would I go to this place? This place looks like it's terrible when it's really not. It's just one portion of it.
Yeah. And like you said, like telling the truth, like telling the truth to yourself is like the most important thing because people will let their ego get in the way and just be like, oh, nope, none of that's true. No, I don't have to deal with that because I'm too awesome. Or you're telling yourself a lie, oh, I'm way too awesome to feel sadness or anything,
man.
I'm so cool. I don't deal with that stuff. That stuff's for losers. And it's like, meanwhile, well,
no, it's not.
if you just drop it, you wouldn't have to keep thinking that over and over and over again to make yourself feel happy every day.
Right. I mean, the more lies you tell, you'll actually be convinced that lie is the truth, which is not the way to go.
Yeah.
The scores, you gave it a 7.7. I wrote down 7.1. I'm going to give it a 7.5, talking about it more. I don't know. I don't know if I would go to the 8s.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. It's really good. But so what I wrote down is I thought it was a little rushed, hard to keep track of everything. There's just like a lot going on, but I feel like that's the theme of the movie. A lot of the sayings were confusing because the only person that knows it is really like
Them
Scarlett
two,
and
yeah.
George. Great camera work, made it look real.
The set was cool.
the
Where
set
the
is-
hell they're
I don't know
they're
how they
filming,
did it.
but
Yeah.
looks dope.
The themes are great. The theme of forgiving yourself, love wins in the end, keep moving forward, try to see the world in a positive way, and most importantly, never go into the goddamn catacombs unless you want a real, switch in your life. And the ultimate therapy is to do that. So, but the themes that I just said are some of the best. And
Also, I would
best
throw in
in a
there
movie.
too. The truth hurts, but
It's necessary.
It will. Yeah, exactly. It's necessary, and it'll let you live a more fulfilled life.
right. Yeah, truth hurts. But hey, it's, if somebody says to a friend, like, hey, this is the truth about what you've been doing. I don't know. Maybe you yell too much when you're drunk. It's just like, man, maybe I shouldn't do that. Or
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
I shouldn't drink a lot.
And
it hurts, but it's necessary for yourself and for the people around you.
And everybody's mechanism is to usually, most of the time, kind of put up a wall of defense and be like, what are you talking about? And
Yeah.
then that's just your ego talking. But then if you can drop that and be like, you know what? I think he was right or she was right. Like, maybe I do that too much. I have to work on that. That's way more admirable than just letting it die and pushing it under the carpet,
Right. So you gave this a 7.7. You like the adventure aspect of it.
Adventure aspect is great. I just love archaeological type things, and I've always watched the National Geographic Channel, and like
I gave him a subscription for his birthday.
yes,
I
indeed.
knew he liked it.
So just like discovering new things, I think is just like the coolest thing. Anything that's old or like stuff like that.
It made me appreciate it more, for sure. I liked
yeah.
it more.
Because like I put myself in their shoes, and when they said it's been 500 years since someone's been in here, like that's unbelievable.
That's
If
so
that
you
was
can't even
real,
comprehend that.
If I was there, I'd be like, this is like when I went to the Colosseum. Like I was like,
This is still standing after all this time.
I've been to the Colosseum, Pompeii, just Rome in general. You're walking on. There's so much buried underneath too, and anywhere Stonehenge, I've been there too. It's just like, what the hell is this? But like, this has been here for thousands of years.
You
This
can't
is
explain it.
unbelievable, and this is so well built that it's still here.
It's beautiful.
crazy. Yeah,
You're like, this is just like, this is the world that we should be seeing.
yeah,
You like the allure that there could be like ancient, mysterious things out there.
yeah.
And you said it's a typical horror movie, but it is made well.
It has more of like a typical horror movie aspect into it because I could see that like the average person, like we were saying before, could be like, oh yeah, she has to go back in time and like find the stone and
Right.
blah 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 blah. All right, let's get pizza.
But I mean, I'm liking this movie a lot more just because of us talking about it, which I think, I think that's the way to enjoy movies more is to analyze it and, because you can only have an hour and a half to 2 hours to tell a movie. You could go longer, but you really can't. And like, I feel like this is a more low budget movie.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have a lot of time. So it's like, okay, you talk about it. Like when you watch The Shining, you're like, okay, we need like a year to talk about this movie.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, with this one being a low budget, it seems like that. If there was a revamped version of it with like more money behind it or something, and like
Could be really
like
good.
A24 picked it up and like
With sounds and music.
and what's his face, Midsummer guy, the director.
Yeah, Ari Aster.
Ari
He did it.
Aster teamed up with this guy and like because
Threw in Bill Skarsgård.
because he's all about trauma. So
Oh,
like
yeah.
like they them two together like. That would just be because it does feel a little bit rushed, and then there's some aspects of it where it's like, wait a second, like that, like I get the creepy aspect, but that just made it cheesy. Like
Right.
in my opinion, the girl at the club, it's just like
I didn't
we
get
don't
it.
really
The guy
need her.
hanging in
the
Iran.
guy, her dad hanging in Iran. We didn't need that. That did not do anything to the story at all because later on after that. If they had flipped the scenes where she's getting interviewed first and then given us that, maybe that would have been better because we could have been like, oh, maybe that was her dad. That was kind of creepy. Is
Yeah,
she
it
still
should be
like
more
dealing
of-
with it, or
We should think about it.
Whereas-
the movie does. Yeah, go ahead.
Whereas when you see it, you're just like, who's this guy?
Who the hell is that? But wait, like we had the other guy tell us. The movie gets better as it goes.
Yeah.
I do like the part though that they threw in the not shown interview part in the beginning, where at the end she says,
Yeah, that
I
part's cool.
wanted the
That's
truth,"
dope,
because
yeah.
you're like, she had to go through this to get there. But yeah, no, the more we talk about it, the themes are really good. Okay.
That's it.
That's us. That's what we do. We do basically no research and we just watch the movie and analyze it, but this is fun. This is a good one. As Above, So Below. episode 8 of Way Sauce, and we're going up to Salem soon, so we're gonna give you some real life footage. So we're gonna
Real life.
we're gonna do maybe a ghost tour, haunted house. You'll have to see for yourself. So yeah, thanks for sticking with us through this long one, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Good night, San Diego.